With the next presentation, which is by Mr. Ayazi, as outlined CMD 18H6.68. Go ahead, please.
Thank you. So, my name is Amir Ayazi. I'm born and raised in Toronto, in the GTA. I've lived in the East End for a large percentage of that time, over a decade. And I also attended the University of Toronto Scarborough campus, so I lived very close to the Pickering plant for a long time. Now, I've always known about the Pickering power plant because a friend that I grew up with in Scarborough moved to Pickering. His name's Joel Bowen, and we would always make jokes, like Simpsons-style jokes. He lives right next to a power plant, three-eyed fish and whatnot. So one day, a couple years ago, he called me. We're just talking regularly, and the pills had just arrived at his house, and we kind of make a couple jokes. What do you mean pills arrived at your house? And he explained, in the case of a nuclear catastrophe, I'm supposed to take this pill. And we just laughed and laughed and laughed, like, what? They sent you pills? In a nuclear, anyway, it kind of planted a seed of, there's this thing going on here, you know? It reminded me of an American friend of mine who lived during the Cold War, and they were taught in school, as you probably all know, to duck and cover in case the Russians attacked, and this silly things. So that's what brings me here, to voice my opinion as a citizen of this great country and say my opinion that there's no such thing as safe nuclear. I know I'm not an expert, just a normal citizen who loves the city, but that's my opinion. I know it's a nuanced issue. The folks over here obviously think it's a safe thing. And well, nothing is 100% safe. I understand that. So maybe my standard of safety is a little too high. The oil refineries in Alberta are unsafe. There's people who die on them. But what makes this different is that the scope. You know, when a catastrophe happens in Alberta, people die. That's a horrible thing, obviously. But the potential for disaster is nowhere, to my knowledge, larger than it is here in Pickering, given that this nuclear power plant is so close to so many people. Now, earlier, yesterday, I heard a lot of good reasons for the continued operation of the nuclear power plant. And there's obviously a lot of smart people who are trying to make sure it's very safe and technical, and I don't know anything about that, so I'm not going to comment. But the thing that they, to me, really pushed the continued operation, the reason their argument is 5,000 jobs and $1.5 billion a year. In my opinion, it's simply not worth the risk, even if that risk is only 1 in a million, which it might be even bigger than that, because, well, you just can't put a price on the potential for disaster that, knock on wood, hopefully won't happen. And anyway, I guess I'll end there. Even if that risk is only 1 in a million, it's not worth the risk. Thank you.
Thank you. Comment? Question? Dr. Demeter?
Thank you for your intervention. Did you happen to be here during the discussion on earthquakes and fault lines? And part of your intervention talks a lot about, concerns for earthquakes and stability. And there was a relatively long discussion on earthquake potential, size, distance from the plant, the stability of the geology. I don't know if you heard that discussion yesterday. I don't know if it was yesterday. It's been bit of a blur, but yesterday or the day before.
I was here yesterday, but I did not hear that. I guess you're obviously speaking about the submission that I sent. I had literally 100 different ideas of what to write about you, because there's so many issues that I care about with this particular thing. So the earthquake was just one of many.
Okay, if that is a particular concern, because we had someone, I think, on teleconference that talked about it, but the transcripts are available, and you may want to look at the discussion on that particular facet of your intervention.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your intervention.